Hello, good morning. Nice to see you all so far. Hey, Frank. Hey, Matthew, I finally went to the Mare Island Wellness Center yesterday, and we're going to feature Sunya's new center in our Facebook page. So you should be tagged in there. I hope you get it. Yeah. Hey, Michelle, welcome back from camping. Good to see you. Michelle, a question. You and Brian can do the retreat on that earlier weekend in April. Can you do it in the original weekend of April, which is the 24th through the 27th?
We looked at both of those. Both
Yeah,
were
I
fine.
can't I can't hear you. Let me see.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Now I can. I just have to press something a couple times.
Um, we looked at both those weekends and both are fine.
Great, because we're still going back and forth, but I'm really glad you can do it. And what we're talking about, for those of you who may not know, is we're going to do a silent retreat at Mandala Springs in April of next year, 2026. Okay, let's admit Linda. Oh, she's coming in. Okay, good. Morning, Linda. Getting that last bite of breakfast. I'm still drinking coffee, but that's not unusual. I drink it all day. Mhm. And there should be 8 of us today. So who are we waiting for? Chamatkara. I was just emailing her. Let me text her. And Shuda. I'm sure they're coming. Okay. Okay. Oh, yep, here she is. Here's Chamatkara. So David and Kathy cannot make it today. Hey, Chamatkara, there you are. Here you are. And shoot is coming. Okay, great. Welcome, Shooter Rose. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a bit. You've been in Hawaii. All right, so this is our group for today. As I mentioned, Kathy and David can't be here today, so they will get the recording. I want to double check and make sure that we're recording. Yeah, we are. Good. Okay. Um, so welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's just take a moment and center. So please take a couple of nice deep centering breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. If you'd like to go ahead and begin the 4-part breath, please do so. Just coming into present moment. In present moment, there is no worry, no anger. In present moment, there is gratitude and forgiveness. In present moment, karmas dissolve. There is compassion for self and for all others, and the knowledge that there is no other. Present moment, limitless. Present moment, love. Bless you. It's fine, don't worry. Okay, so let's get rid of something on my screen. It doesn't want to go away. Okay. I'd like to start with hearing, I've heard from some of you, but hearing how Lam Klim went for you. And I don't need any great confessions, that you didn't do it 10 times a day for the last 30 days. It's just when you did it, how did it go? And you can just unmute and share. Frank, it looks like you're already unmuted. Why don't you go ahead and just share a little?
I'm muted, yes. Well, I did it once a day for the whole time. I actually was pretty good about that. I have to confess that I felt kind of silly at the beginning. The first week or so, it just seemed it wasn't clicking. But it did begin to make more sense after a while. It felt very much related to the TT practice that I do regularly. In that there was sound and pranayama together, and I had a similar kind of metaphysical response that I have in the meditation, physics, psycho-spiritual sort of thing. So I'm okay now with the syllables. I don't have a real strong connection with them in terms of meaning or anything. I just, I'm assuming that they're sacred, and they mean something in Sanskrit that I don't fully grasp, but I don't need to.
I think you're absolutely right about that, Frank. And actually, I think that most monosyllables in Sanskrit, they're not at all about meaning. They're just about the vibration that they create in the system. And so it's not that. And those syllables, at least the lam, it is just the sound, the pulsation, the vibration that goes with the Muladhara chakra, and it has no meaning other than that. So it's like we're not looking for meaning in the sounding. But in terms of your experience, once you got used to it, what has your experience been? How has it, how's it felt? What maybe happened in life that you can attribute to this?
Well, well, interesting question. The clarifying quality of the syllables communicated themselves to me more strongly as I continued to practice. So that I felt since it was Muladhara, I felt grounded.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good.
I actually could feel like the left side, right side, lum, clean was the base of the triangle that I think we're creating.
Cool. That's really what we're looking for, right? It's the effect on the system. And then to remember that the different petals of Muladhara represent samskaras and patterns that, you know, we want to let go of. And do I not list them here? Okay, well, we're not going to worry about it right now. Okay, but that's the whole purpose of these chakra practices. It's in a certain way, it's not like opening the chakra like we talk about in New Agey stuff. It's about the petals of the chakra represent patterns, samskaric patterns, universal to all of us, right? That are going to block the free flow of the kundalini of the prana of our being able to operate in divine and or non-dual consciousness. So that's what we're doing. Okay. And I had this little obstacle for me to operate in non-dual consciousness all the time. And I love him. Anyway, when I may have to put him out of here. Okay. So good. I mean, I think you really, you know, you persisted and then you felt this and you said clarifying and grounding. So hooray. You know, if we go around and I ask each one of you about your experience, we'll use up our entire time today. So I'm not going to do that, but I am now going to ask, does anyone have any questions about it? Or did anyone like not feel anything? Like what we're wondering, not after the first week necessarily, but you know, like today, like, why am I doing this? Because, you know, if it's not working for you, I want to know that we could try some other things, or maybe this just isn't going to work for you, which is also fine. So, anybody, or do you have something like you just really want to share? Like it really did make a significant difference for you? I see you have one of those non-dual ruinizers as well, Matthew, behind you. Either that or you have a tail. Okay. Chamakara, yeah.
I'll just make two quick. It's interesting in reading through what you're supposed to have for each day. And, I glossed over the yogi must get a minimum of 6 hours of sleep each night. But I will tell you, I noticed it made an absolute difference. On those nights where I didn't get 6+ hours because of whatever reason, the practice the next day, I didn't have enough rest. The physical container did not have enough. It was harder for me. And I think because you need enough sleep to keep the focus for the repetition and then to get the full benefit of the charge. It's like having a battery that isn't ready to, it's no longer charging fully because it isn't in the place where it can accept the full electricity. So that was a big thing for me. On the days that I got enough sleep, I
Good
could do
point.
great the next week. It was more challenging when I did not. And then the second thing I just wanted to say was the visualization of the sun and the moon. I found it to be connected to in the 4-part breath, with either you're visualizing the sun or the moon up there. I found that very connected in. So when I was doing 4-part breath throughout the month, like this would automatically come in for me. That kind of like pulsation and moving between them, and even like visualizing them going back and forth, the different rays in my 4-part breath. So just those little comments.
All right, thank you. No, I think that's very observant, first of all, in terms of the difference between getting the sleep and not getting the sleep. So, you know, and then of course, how does that generalize to our regular life when we don't get enough sleep? So, okay, very good. I'm going to move on to chakra 2 because so I think I said it in the email to you This indeed is the most challenging, I feel, of all the practices. It will take you 40 to 60 minutes per practice. Of course, we want you to practice every day. I had to do this 9 times a day again for 3 days. So I was like 9 hours a day. So I did nothing else, right? When I was learning most of these, actually, I was doing nothing else. I had, I was at the ashram and this was my instructions, so I had the luxury of skipping programs and various things. Of course, I can't imagine that any of you have that kind of time. So what I'm going to suggest and quote unquote give you permission to do is, if you do no other practices during these next several weeks, please do this one. So if you do TT, if you do the OMA practice, if you have other practices that you do, I mean, I'm not telling you to skip your regular daily practices, because that's not mine to tell you to do. But if you want my permission, you have my permission to do this practice and this practice only. That said, I like doing my morning meditation practice almost as soon as I get up in the morning. And I do confess, I get up, I have a cup of coffee, I sit outside, and then I do my practice. But it's still, it's pretty close to when I get up in the morning. I have found that for me, it helps with this practice it's not a like first thing in the morning practice, because it's a little more, for me, physically intense, right, than my normal meditation practice. That being said, you're going to have to figure it out. Especially if you're working all day. Well, if you don't do it first thing in the morning, when do you do it? Oh, last thing at night. I'm not sure. I cannot, if I try to do this in like mid-afternoon, I'm too sleepy. And I have never, except when I was doing those 9 a day, I do not do it in the evening because I may not sleep. So I don't want to create anxiety here. I just want to say, experiment, find the best time of day. Am I creating anxiety? Shoot. Yeah, I know. Just find the best time of day to do it. And I mean, I'm not policing you. If you cannot do this every day, I completely understand. And if you want to do your regular meditation practice a couple times a day and reserve this for those days in which you quote unquote have more time, just do what works for you. Now, somebody had asked me, so are you supposed to keep doing chakra 1 while we're learning chakra 2? And the answer is no. You've now learned chakra 1. You can go back to this practice anytime that you feel like you need some work with your first chakra. Okay, now you are learning chakra 2, Swadhisthana chakra. Okay, so that's how we're going to be doing this. And again, I promise this is I hate to promise anything. As far as I recall, this is the most challenging of the practices. As they get higher, for me, they get sweeter and they get less physically demanding. Let's just put it that way. Okay. So I want to move right into the handout that I gave you. Do you have it, or should I put it on the screen? No need to put it on the screen? Okay, good. So Swadhisthana Chakra, isn't this interesting? It's called the abode of the self, which is very interesting because we often think of Manipura as the self. But according to Atmananda, this is the natural place where Kundalini Shakti should reside, meaning that once it's awakened, at Muladhara, then this is the place. This is like it's our energetic womb space. And of course, what I mean by that is not the physical womb, it's the energetic womb that is active in men and women. The point of creation it's a lot of our prana and our creativity and our productivity. An extremely, well, all chakras are important, but really very, very important. It is also, of course, connected with our sense of family, being a mother, being a father. And as it says here, the success in this technique means we will not be taking on the samskaras of others, which is a little different, right? In first chakra, we were getting rid of our own samskaras. Now, once we work through this, but we still have to get rid of our own samskaras to not take on others, we won't be taking on the samskaras of others. So, when you're deeply connected into a family, whether it's your biological family or even a spiritual family, it's very easy to take on the patterns of other people. And that is, our goal, if you will, in yoga is mukti, is freedom, is liberation from our own patterns and liberation from the patterns of others, and certainly not, here's a psychological term, introjecting, taking on the projections of others. So, all that being said, we'll move on. Location. All right, place your thumb at your navel, spread the fingers, they don't have to be spread too wide, and then it's about right here. Okay, so this may be for some of you a little lower than what, you can't really tell, but this is, it's right about at the top of my pelvic bone for me. You figure out where it is for you. But remember, the Muladhara chakra was more underneath in the perineal area. All that being said, it is not physical, and it is not an entity located within the physical body. But that's just a way of understanding it. Now, the mantra here is VAM. I like this because I think of Svava, the V, Swadhisthana, that helps me remember VAM. So like Lam is the first chakra, and VAM is now Swadhisthana chakra. The element associated with this is water, so it's about fluidity, creativity. It has to do with our sexual fluids. It has to do with the fluids related to giving birth and, of course, our blood. Last night, I'm going to share with you guys, I had the most wonderful dream. 2 days in a row, I've awakened with really great dreams. It doesn't happen very often. And what I was dreaming is I was swimming in the ocean, and I was swimming so powerfully, and I was with a group of people, and there were helicopters around kind of following us. And I was like swimming from ocean to ocean. And I was looking for the South Seas. I was trying to get to Fiji, but I ended up somehow in a frozen ocean. And then I was just skating over that frozen ocean. And then I'd come back into an ocean I could swim in. And it was like, just swimming through the oceans of the world, whether they were frozen or not. And it was just phenomenally joyous. I didn't even think about when I woke up, the association with we're working on the water element today. Okay, color, yellow, orange, right? So beautiful deep yellow, deep golden, if you will. Okay, so each of the 6 petals controls one type of samskara related to spiritual evolution. By opening the petals, the samskaras are deactivated. Again, I think we talked about this last time. It's so easy in our imagination to think, oh, my chakra is completely open. But in this this understanding, this kind of Kundalini practice, if you will, it's like yeah, right, that's nice. And these petals opening is a really big deal. And what we want to do is get them permanently opened so that we are no longer, we're actually immune to taking on other people's samskaras. Whether you'll be able to do that in 1 month, I don't know. If you ever want to sit with me and I'll try to look in and see how many petals I think are open, we can do that. That's supposed to be part of the job of the teacher. I'm not sure how qualified I am for that, but whatever. Okay. So these in particular, they're very steeped in the yogic tradition, as you can tell. Abhajya, indifference to what is taught, meaning not really listening to the advice of the spiritual master and justifying, I'm right, forget the tradition, I know what I'm talking about. Take that as you will. Murcha, delusion, a sudden automatic lapse from spiritual consciousness to worldly consciousness. I'm sure none of you ever do that. We do this all the time. And so what if we were able to abide in that spiritual awareness, even as we were dealing with worldly things, right? That's our goal, isn't it? Prashraya, allowing, overlooking and allowing unethical, illegal, and wrong behavior. An interesting one, huh? Deciding, the ends justify the means, overlooking it in an authority that we respect, not calling the teacher on her stuff, that kind of thing. Not calling the boss on stuff. What does this mean? Okay. Abhiswasha, the lack of faith, not having faith in or trusting what is taught or advised. And you may find some of that coming up even as we're doing this work. And just notice it, recognize it, and see what happens as you do the practice. It's kind of like, well, okay, don't believe this is going to work, but do it anyway. I mean, you signed up for it, you may as well do it anyway. Sarvanasa, ruination, losing everything. So what does this mean? It's a fear, right? The fear of losing everything. And so not moving forward because we're afraid we'll lose everything. Even including a fear, if I do this spiritual practice, I might lose my progress in another one, or, things like that. It shows up all the time. And kurata, cruelty. If we look deep inside, right, there's probably some cruelty in all of us, right? Because here we are, we're human. So these are the things that that this is focusing on. The idea is once these have been purified for us, then we're not going to be taking on other people's samskaras. Okay, the practices. Any questions so far? Okay. Please, if you have a question, just unmute and talk to me. I really want this to be, comfortable and informal. And like I said, I don't want to create anxiety. right? It's very doable. Okay. So there's no food restrictions for this one. I can't remember if there was for the first one. There's nothing said about sleep, but you know, you've learned your lessons. Each practice will take 40 to 60 minutes, depending on how long you hold your breath. But challenge yourself, please. Okay, so here's the first one. This is the charging technique for this one. And then I think there are no more charging techniques after this one, but again, don't hold me to it. So you want to chant VAM at least 42 times in one breath. So the way I do this is I do the finger thing, 4, 16, yada, yada, yada. And it takes, so it's 10 and a half fingers. So like Vum 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 vum. I think that was the count, but that's how I do it. So you can find your own way. Every time I do 4, I touch a finger. Okay, and I didn't do it very well because I didn't take a nice deep breath. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to hold my hands up so you can see, and you can tell me if I count wrong. That's fine. Vum 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 vum. So not so bad. Then I take a breath and I do that again, and I do that 7 times, and that's the charge. Okay, so you heard how fast I was saying VUM, right? And because I need to say it that fast to, you know, to do 42 of them in one breath. If you have a good long breath, like I know you do, Frank, vum 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 vum. I can't go any farther than that. Okay. So you kind of adjust the speed of the pronunciation to the length of your breath.
I had that experience in the charge that we just did on Chakra 1. It found its place in rhythm after a while.
Good. Okay, great. Yeah, I found its rhythm with your breath, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good, good. But again, it's like you want to to maximize this. You really want to optimize the length of your breath. So let's go ahead and do that together. Um, let's just do it for a couple of minutes. I don't know how many repetitions that will be. So the other thing I do is I'm using my fingers to count the vums, and then it's in my mind. I remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, you can find your own way of doing that. Now, I think it's probably best, I think this is what we did before, for all of us to mute, and I'll just time us for 2 minutes. I have no idea how many times we'll do it. Okay, everybody good? Let me get my timer and I'll tell us when to start. And this is just practice, right? Okay, please begin. Okay. Everybody, just hold up your fingers and show us how many rounds you actually got done. Yeah, good. Good. Yeah, excellent. Okay. You're not showing your fingers, Shuda? Did you have trouble?
No, I didn't have trouble, but I had to go slower in order to be able to count the actual 4. I can't do that and count how many times I got it done. Like that's an impossibility for my brain. So I have no idea how many times, how many rounds
Just
I got
guess. You
done.
just guess. Yeah.
I'm gonna say 5 or 6. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Sometimes what I'll do too is like when I have trouble because I'm not a great counter.
Me either.
Yeah, is like this is mostly all I can manage, but I can maybe do 2. Okay, so now I've done 2 of these, and then I can maybe remember that, and then maybe I think 4, or maybe I even think 2 again. And then at a certain point I realize, okay, I've done 3 2s, I only need to do 1. Find your way. Or figure out how long it takes you to do 7 and set a timer. But again, I just don't think there are karmic police after us. So, okay, so that is our warm up. Now this one is, oh yeah, Michelle.
So when I was doing the last one, I'm terrible at counting too, Shuda. I had a little bowl of beads and I put 11 beads in there, and then I would just take one out each time. So with this, I would put 7 beads in my little bowl, and then just as I finish one, take it out, take it out, take it out, and that's how I'd know I had done the right number.
That's probably a good idea because you can take that time in between. I mean, ideally, with this one, you don't want to take a bunch of breaths in between. Ideally, you just want to take a breath and then start again and start again. But, find your way. And if you find for some reason like you start to get dizzy or whatever, just slow it down and do the best you can. We don't need to have any blood pressure issues or whatever. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, so the pranayama that we do with this, it says yogi's choice, meaning you could do any sanctioned pranayama that but I find that the easiest and the most calming one for me is the Chandra Beta. So I thought I would go ahead and teach that to you. And I think you all pretty well know it, but let's just review it. We take, is anybody left-handed? Okay, so you can do this opposite, Linda? Okay. All right, so I'm going to say right and left, but you know what to do. I mean, you know this breath. Okay. And of course, if you have a plugged left nostril, then this one's not going to work for you, and we'll do the opposite, which is the Surya Beta. But we start, remember, it's not a pushing, it's just a slight closing with the thumb on the left nostril. I like to put my my middle finger right at my third eye, or the first 2 fingers right at the third eye, and then leave the other ones out. There are multiple ways of doing this. You can do it whatever way that you prefer. Make sure you're in a nice upright position. Inhale right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close both. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm going to stop. And then exhale left, open left. 2, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sorry, registry, I feel like you're backwards. Didn't you inhale left first? That's your right hand. You're closing
That's
your
the way it's
right
written.
nostril.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
But you said inhale right, and if you're closing your right nostril, you're inhaling left.
Oh, yeah. How did I write it? Never mind. Okay. You guys know how backwards I am. All right. Close right, inhale left. Let's just do this. Close right, inhale left. Close both, pause. Open right, exhale right. Close right, inhale left. Close both, exhale right. Close right, inhale left. Close both, exhale right. One more time. Inhale left. Close both, exhale right. That's the breath. So the inhalation, thank you, Shuda, for that clarification. The inhalation is only through the left nostril. This is a cooling, calming breath. Now, some of you know the full Anulom Vilom, where you inhale right, close, exhale, inhale left, close, exhale right, inhale right, hold, exhale left. That takes twice as long. That's why I don't do that one. Okay, that is probably the most balancing of all the pranayams. And if you tend to have a lot of, if you're kapha or you have a lot of tamas, you might need to do the one I'm teaching you may be too relaxing, but you decide. And let me know if you're having trouble with the pranayam, text me, whatever. Let me know if you're having difficulty with it. And we will find you one that works for you, Frank.
Are you saying that it's okay to do the full Nadi Shodhana? Both
I am
alternate
saying it's
full breathing?
okay to do the full Nadi Shodhana, and that may be what you want to do, but it will take you twice as long.
Right, I get that.
So, it's up to you. You could also do the Surya, right, which is what I was saying before, but is, not what you do. You inhale left, pause, inhale right, pause, exhale left, inhale right, exhale left. So you could do the opposite. If you and that you would do if you've got a blockage in your left nostril, and or if this one is like too relaxing for you. And when I say too relaxing, I mean too relaxing to to um to keep it going. Okay. All right, now it's about the rhythm. And Shuda and Linda, we practiced this a long time. Frank, I think you do this with your ratio, with the TT meditation. But the rhythm of the breath is you inhale 1 ratio, inhale 1, hold 4, exhale 2. So I gave us some examples here. Inhale for 6 out of the left, hold the 2 for 24, exhale out of the right for 12. 8, 32, 16, 10, 40, 20. Now, I don't have the odd numbers in here. You could do 5, 20, 10. You could do 7, 28, 14. Okay, so you've got to find what works for you. The longer hold, the longer the kumbhaka, that's what we're going for. Now, ideally, you're doing this in seconds. It's hard to count seconds for some of us. You just do your count at a pace that works well for you. The hold is obviously the most challenging. However, there are times in the hold where there can be this transcendent experience of going outside of time and space, and you may actually lose track of your counting, and sometimes you find that you go without needing to exhale for an exceedingly long time that you don't have to measure. Okay. And that's the beauty of it. And maybe there'll just be a little momentary experience of that eternal moment. But that's what we're going for. And at the same time, you don't want to pass out, right? And again, no heart attacks. Thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to suggest we do is we'll turn off the sound again and start with 4:16:8, and then see if you can move up to 6:24:12. And, you know, now, if you're someone who has been doing these practices for a while, you may not need to start at 4:16:8. You can start at 8:32:16 or whatever. It's just a matter of the ratio. Okay? So we'll do this for 5 minutes. And don't worry about keeping track of how many times you're doing it.
I have a quick question. Okay, it's numbers, so bear with me. What do 7 cycles of 8 pranayama breaths? What?
Okay,
What does that 8 mean?
8 means, okay, here we go. That's 1. That's 2. Okay.
Oh, so
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is 1 cycle.
oh God, okay.
That's why it takes so long. Okay. Then you can take a couple breaths in between, but don't get up. Don't take a drink of water. I mean, unless you're gagging or something. You just take a couple breaths and then you do it again. So, this is why I actually recommend you start at the lower end of the ratio, because I can actually do 10, 40, 20, but I can't do that 56 times. And my math was wrong here. I said for like a total of 42, it's a total of 56. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to, each is 1 pranayama, 1 breath. Okay. So you need to do, you need to do 8 of those. That's 1 cycle. Take a couple breaths. 8 more, that's another cycle, couple breaths, yada, 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 until you've done 7. It's a lot. I told ya. Okay. That's why one of the reasons I do the shortest one, right? I mean, you know, we could be doing not too much fun. Would be, but we'd certainly have our skulls cleansed if we did some of the other breaths. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do. So you're just going to, at this point, don't even necessarily count it. If you want to count how many you do, fine. But I'm inviting you to find your ratio. And again, if you want to try 4:16:8, and then you think, yeah, but I'm not quite sure about 6:24:12, you can do 5:20:10. Okay. So we're going to do this for 5 minutes. Okay, please begin. So please complete whatever breath you're on. We'll discuss this in a moment. I want to go right into the visualization. So just take a couple of cleansing breaths and visualize that 6-petaled lotus at the Swadhisthana chakra. And see the petals vibrating with the sound of Vam. Imagine at the center of the lotus, there's an upright triangle. And inside the triangle, there's a blue flame. Please meditate on the blue flame for the next 3 minutes. Please take another deep cleansing breath. And as you're ready, gently open your eyes. So this is the practice. Let me just say a couple things about the pranayama, and then I'm going to hear your experience. I find in terms of the counting, so I was doing, what was I doing? I was doing 8, 32, 16. Counting to 32 in my mind, 22, 23, 24, 25. Those mental words, it's too much for me when I'm in a state like this. So I count to 10, then I count to 10 again, then I count to 10 again, and then 2. It simplifies the process. Once I did it for I'd done this many, many times, I stopped counting altogether. But you kind of have to. And I'm sorry for that inconvenience. And then the other thing that I do is I do the breath, 1 with my fingers, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When I've done 8 and I take my cleansing breath in between, I say loudly in my head, and I get the visualization of a number 1, meaning I've done 1 cycle, 1 round. And then again, the second time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Finish, breath. I say aloud in my mind, and I picture 2. And that's because I can get very lost in terms of how many I've done, etc. And sometimes even that doesn't work. By the time I've finished 3, I can't remember if I'd already done 1 or if I'd done 5. But it works fairly well. And then sometimes I do have to take more than 1 breath in between cycles. And that's absolutely fine. The other thing I wanted to say is some of you may have found this, that the challenge is less in the holding than in the final exhalation. So sometimes we've held our breath so long, we just want to blow it out. As you get accustomed to this and you learn to exhale slowly, you will feel the benefit of the rhythm. And maybe it means don't hold so long. So if you were trying to hold for 32, just hold for 24. I would like, or even if 24, if holding for 24, 12 is too long for exhaling, go back to 4, 16, 8. Get the rhythm. It makes a huge difference in the long run. Chakra, did you want to say something?
No, that was my challenge.
Yeah.
And then another little trick I do is because like the counting in the higher numbers really like throws me off. So a lot of this make 1 long. So I could do 1, 4, 2, but it's like 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So I'm keeping the numbers short for myself, but
Yeah.
I'm lengthening the time and I'm just kind of timing it out. So
Yeah.
like my 1 second is longer than 1 second or whatever, but it's for me, it's less math
Way
going
to
on in
keep
there.
track. It's a way to keep track. Absolutely, because the problem, of course, is math is mental, and we're doing this beyond the mental. So it's complicated for some of us. For other people, it just comes so naturally and easily. If you were an engineer or whatever, like no big deal. But if it is that, if it's challenging in that way, then find your your tricks. Yeah. Michelle.
I got really lightheaded and really anxious doing this. What might I be doing wrong?
Now, which part got you anxious? Do you know?
I definitely had a hard time with not wanting to, just exhale immediately, exhale slowly. But I felt like I wanted to inhale longer. And I was only doing 4:16:8.
Okay, so what I would suggest that you do then is just try something a little different. At first, for the first several times you do this practice, change your rhythm. Okay, inhale 6, and then try holding 16 and exhaling 8. Inhale longer. So play around with it. So now you just heard me giving you this lecture on how the rhythm is very important, but in this case, build up to the rhythm. And even if you need to start with everything being equal, 6, 6, 6, do that. Then go 6, 12, 6. Okay. So it just, but pay attention and keep working toward the 1, 4, 2.
Okay.
And then be in touch with me if that doesn't help.
Okay.
Okay. It is quite possible that the anxiety has something to do with the samskaras being purified. That it actually is, it's working in some way. But nonetheless, we want to do all of this, take a gradual approach to it, because if getting rid of the samskaras is more anxiety provoking than the samskaras, that's not good reinforcement. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So find a way to make it work and then build from there. Okay. All right, dears. I find when I do this practice, it's like, what? It's just, wow. I just open up. I feel so clean. I feel so cleansed. It feels fabulous. The doing of it, takes some effort. And so I hope that you have a similar experience with it. Please, please, please be in touch. Don't give up. And so we need to plan our next meeting, and I'm really trying to respect our 9:15 closing time. So my availability would be, I think I was only looking at Sundays. Oh, darn it. Let me go back into my calendar. Because we've met on a Saturday, we've met on a Sunday. The parameters are, if we meet on a Saturday, it is at 7:45. If we meet on a Sunday, it's at 8 to get our hour and 15 minutes in. Oh, I see why I can't do that. Okay. So, the weekends of August 9 or 10, that weekend works best for me. The 16th or 17th are also possible. I wasn't seeing before. Okay, did I just see some thumbs up for the weekend of the 16th and 17th? Is there anyone who cannot do it the 16th and 17th?
The 17th is better for me, but I can make the 16th work.
And Glynis?
I can't do the 16th, but I can do the 17th.
All right. So let me make sure I got this right. The 17th, that's a Sunday at 8 a.m. Okay, and then I'll just let the others know, and hopefully they can do that. And I did just remember, well, I didn't just, as once we get started, Ashwin too didn't show up, and I was in touch with him, but that's okay. Okay, so we're going to do Chakra 3, Sunday, August 16th, 17, from 8 a.m. Pacific to 9:15 a.m. Pacific. Okay, so you all should have just gotten a newsletter yesterday with our September things that are coming up. So please, please, please get them on your calendar and join. And we'll soon have the spring retreat, silent retreat, settled in terms of the dates within this week, I hope. And the Sacred Flame, those of you who are masters, please understand. So if you're in the master path right now, you absolutely must come on September 7th to get your attunements. But all of you are welcome to get reattuned to the sacred flame symbols on September 7th online, in preparation for the retreat. And the newest symbol that everyone will get at the retreat and at the retreat, that everyone will get at the retreat is almost completed by the graphic artist. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if anybody wants to come on August 7, I'm doing that long guided meditation on life explorations, living and dying, with discussion at 6 in the evening. And that's free if you would like to join that. And then Jyotima's August 10 workshop on Ayurveda is also online and coming up soon, so recommended for everyone. All right, I just needed to go through all that because there's stuff coming up that it's just important for you to get into your calendars. Okay. All right. Any questions before we close? Yeah, I think we all did pretty well. Okay, you just find your rhythm and then find your way into the rhythm. And don't forget, have faith in the teacher. Okay, love you all. Let's take a deep breath. Om. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we know the peace in our own hearts and in the hearts of all beings. Namaste. Thank you. Enjoy. Blessings. Bye.